everyone. Welcome to the Weird World Podcast.
Hi.
Puberty, Carrie?
No.
Hi.
What's up?
Little shakiness.
She doesn't want to talk about it.
My name's Carrie.
I'm Erin.
I'm Dean.
I'm Jack.
And Dean is going to tell us something. What you got, Dean?
I have possibly the most classic mystery in American history.
You're big on superlatives, aren't you?
You
I am.
are an
This one is.
absolute bitch.
This one is, because I don't know if you people have heard of a little something called the Roanoke Colony, the lost colony of Roanoke.
No, I've never heard of it
Well-
before in my life.
Well, it's a good thing you came here today, because we have a two-part episode. Today will be part one. Today, we're actually going to give you a deep dive into the history of Roanoke and the founding of it, what exactly was going on. It's actually a pretty interesting politics and Machiavellian international affairs and things like that going on there.
Uh-oh.
Huh.
And then we will talk about what happened to those colonists, the evidence for what happened to them, theories about what happened to them. Today, we're going to trace them until they more or less got lost.
Okie dokes.
Okay. Technically, you may not know this, but Roanoke was not the first English colony, the first attempt at English colonization. It may not even have been the first lost colony, depending on how you want to define that.
What do you mean by
Pardon?
lost? What does that mean?
Well,
just they all died.
Where they didn't find, where they went back to
Oh.
find colonists, and there was no colonists there. There's
Yeah.
actually another incident for that, which is related to
Okay.
Roanoke, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Some say the first attempt at English colonization was at least in North America, was in 1583 at St. John's in Newfoundland. It was led by Sir Humphrey Gilbert. Queen Elizabeth II had given Humphrey a charter to search for lands, quote, unclaimed by Christian kingdoms.
Oh,
Because if they're in
God.
Christian
Lordy.
kingdoms, you go ahead, they're yours for the taking.
Sure.
And take them for England was the idea. And so this meant basically North America, north of Spanish-controlled Florida at the time. Okay, so basically go out there, find it, claim it, it's England. Doesn't matter who's there. So what's now St. John's, the town of St. John's on Newfoundland, had long actually been used as a seasonal harbor by fishing vessels from Spain, Portugal, and England. This is off the Grand Banks there, tremendous fishing ground, still is, incredibly abundant fishing ground. So they would move into this harbor for a couple of months of the year and use it as a harbor just for shelter.
Okay.
So they knew it, they were aware of it. And
You're really not setting the geography the way you normally do.
oh, I'm sorry. This is
Yeah.
well, I thought everybody knew where Newfoundland was.
Well.
My bad. That's my fault for not. It's in Canada, one of the
Really?
maritime provinces north of Maine. Does that help?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gilbert sort of claimed St. John's as England and English soil, and then he headed right back to England, leaving no one behind. He then drowned on the way home.
Ooh.
Bad
Oopsie.
luck for him. So, which I honestly I think is a bullshit claim that was the first, supposed English settlement. He didn't even
Well,
agree
wait
to
a
settle
second.
there. So
If you drowned on
Yeah.
the way home, how do they know?
the other people on the ship lived. He just drowned.
Oh.
Just him.
How did he drown?
I don't know.
He fell
swimming?
off.
I'm not sure.
I assumed
Maybe.
Yeah.
the ship like wrecked or
No,
something.
no,
Oh.
just him.
That doesn't make
I
any
love
sense.
it.
Was he
Yeah.
going for a swim?
I-
well, he
Little
got
bitch.
drunk. There's a lot
Yes.
of rum.
Okay.
Rum. They even had wine. Maybe he was drinking fish oil. I don't know. So
Okay.
even Roanoke, though, the lost colony that we know as Roanoke, that was not the first settlement on Roanoke. The lost colony, would come a little bit later. The first one came about 2 years before the second one that became the lost colony. So the only real impact from the whole St. John, Sir Humphrey Gilbert thing on Roanoke was that because Gilbert died and his claim, so Gilbert had this claim, he sort of owned this charter to go find lands in what's now North America and claim them for England, right? Now he's dead because he drowned in some mysterious accident that I did not research.
Mutiny.
No. And so the Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, who, by the way, was probably not a virgin.
It's my favorite.
She is your favorite?
One of
Really?
them.
Okay.
Yep.
You have a favorite queen?
I didn't know you had a favorite queen.
She's up there.
I hate them all.
All right.
I mean,
Really? You hate queens? That's interesting. From
Girl.
a fan of RuPaul,
Probably
I'm shocked to hear
No,
that.
baby, no. I'm
Okay.
talking about those monarchs. Lop their heads off.
Gotcha.
Well, it wasn't really her fault.
Okay, you know
Girl,
what?
they
Let's talk about
continue
QE1 in a later episode. all right?
Yeah, they continue. Anyway.
So Gilbert's claim was given to two people, his brother Adrian and his half-brother Sir Walter Raleigh.
Oh.
Adrian Gilbert got the lands to the north, vaguely defined, more or less, I guess, kind of what's now Canada and maybe the northeastern United States. Raleigh got the land south of that, sort of, I don't know, the mid-Atlantic, let's think Maryland, something like that, on down to Spanish Florida.
Okay.
The problem was Spain thought of Florida as much bigger than the English thought of Florida. They thought of Florida as going up who knows how far, at
Yeah.
least certainly the southeast United States coast, including places like North Carolina. So no matter, Raleigh, he was looking at making serious cash. He was going to make a ton of money. There, gold and silver, he thought. 'Cause, the Spain at this time was making just gobs of money from precious metals and commodities with all of their, Caribbean and Central American and South American colonies and outposts. So he thought, I'm going to go to America and do the same thing. For England, I'm going to be a rich, viceroy, a mega millionaire. He was allowed by the charter to, quote, discover, search, find out, and view such remote heathen and barbarous lands, countries, and territories to have, hold, occupy, and enjoy.
What the
Oh,
hell? You going
wow.
to marry the land? To have and to hold.
Yeah.
For sickness and in health.
So they wanted to go to the United States and establish a settlement for the commodities and gold and silver and such, but also the plan was to use it as kind of like a forward base, kind of a force projection. They could use it as a base with which to send privateers, which is just legal pirates with a charter by your home country to attack other countries' shipping. They're
Right.
going to send privateers from a base much, much, much closer than any other English base to all those rich Spanish ships going to and from the Americas. Okay, that was the idea. In truth, certainly, if you find some gold, great.
You're making these people sound not very good.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
I think
So,
he's just kind of telling the truth here.
there was a footnote though to the charter. It only lasted until 1591.
How many years is that?
That's about 7 years from when this is happening.
Oh.
Not that
that's
long.
Not that long at all.
So if Raleigh
Especially
had,
when it takes years just to
Yeah, I
get
know.
someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
I was
"Shit."
surprised by that too. That did seem kind of a quick trigger. It's probably it's very
Travel
valuable.
time.
There's lots of other people I'm sure wanted a
3 years.
shot at all those riches. So it's probably
Yeah.
just a little bit of negotiation there. So if Raleigh had not established a permanent settlement somewhere in his domain there by 1591, he could lose his charter.
Oops.
Okay.
Another complication was all that attention paid Raleigh by the aging, again, supposedly virgin queen. Raleigh, you see,
I don't
was
like that.
Carrie.
Qualifier
He was a
there.
queen favorite. So
Good.
she told him, yes, you can send ships, establish a colony. You have this charter, right? 7 years. But guess what, Walter? You ain't going nowhere. I want you right here with me at the court. No, seriously, she dug him. She could breathe in his bearded, musky manliness right
Oh
there
my
at the court.
God.
Dean, you're
So
getting weird. Just move on.
This is true. So she would not let him go and lead the expedition himself.
Then why'd she give him the charter?
Because
Should've
he
given
was
it
a
to somebody
favorite
else.
and he could make a ton of money, but she said, you got to stay here.
It's what he
okay.
wanted.
Send
Okay.
your agent, maybe.
Exactly. Our
Okay.
agents, yes, for sure.
Ah,
So,
your henchman.
yeah. Before starting a full-fledged colony, Raleigh sent out a small reconnoitering voyage of 2 ships.
Oh, wait, what? Was that
They're going to
word?
reconnoiter, scout, learn about the area.
You just went on with that word like we all use that word in everyday language.
Oh, I think
Oh.
people, I don't know.
Reconnoiter? That sounds like a disease.
It's not.
A symptom.
Yeah, reconnoiter of the liver, bro.
Yeah. Hypothyroidism. I got reconnoiter.
God. I am.
Well, we've all learned something here today,
Okay.
then.
All right.
Oh, no, I still am confused.
Yeah, I still don't know anything.
They sent a scout ship.
I mean, go check it out.
He's not going to explain.
Interesting.
That's what it means. I am.
Yeah.
So he sent out a voyage to look over the area in April 1584. The mission of this voyage was, again, just 2 ships, was to just see what they could see, check it out, where might be a good place to set up a colony, right? And this voyage may have included Thomas Harriot and John White, 2 later key people in the Roanoke colonization a couple years later, or a little while later. So they went out there, they sighted Cape Fear, what is now Cape Fear, on
Ah.
July 4th. That's North Carolina.
Scary movie.
And Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right.
If you don't know where that, if you don't, North Carolina, by the way, is the southeastern coast of the United States, south of Virginia, north of South Carolina.
Yeah.
If that helps. And on July 13th, they landed on the mainland just north of Hatteras Island.
That's a fun name.
Hatteras Island is actually not called that any longer. It's
Oh.
now called Hatteras Island.
Yeah.
When-
That's what I know of
Yes.
it as. I thought you were just mispronouncing it.
No, that was the old timey name of it. So they, they were wary of Native Americans who they've had some contact with, not a lot by this point, and they met a tribe called the Secotan tribe, and it controlled most of the area around what is now called Albemarle Sound, all the way down to the mouth of the Pamlico River, which this area includes Roanoke Island. Again, think of this as the coast of North Carolina now.
Yeah. Myrtle Beach.
That's South Carolina.
Oh, shit.
So it's North
Never mind. I take it back.
Wilmington, maybe? I'm not sure. So a chieftain from the tribe briefly met the English sailors and the two ships, then headed for home to report what they had found. And the initial intel was pretty promising. The natives seemed kind of friendly, more or less. There were hints, too, of riches on the mainland. Talk about precious metals and things like that.
Riches.
Also, by the way, there was some, this is an area where there's the sound goes way, way inland. And so there was hopes that, hey, we could find the Northwest Passage. One of the main reasons to explore Canada was to find the fabled Northwest Passage, which is the idea. This is the idea that you can take a water route to China and India.
Yes.
Right?
I know
Right.
about that.
And it
one.
does exist, but it
North-
exists way, way, way up north in Canada, and it's icebound almost all year, except for now global warming. It'll be
Yeah.
a real...
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. They
waterway
were looking
soon
for
enough.
the Northwest Passage.
They didn't know.
In North Carolina.
Think about it. They had no idea where there might be an opening. I mean, the maps at this
Yes.
point were just outlines of
Yeah.
coast.
Yeah,
so
that's
they didn't
true.
know.
They didn't know how much far west.
They really didn't.
How much
From
far
our
west.
Yeah,
perspective,
exactly.
it
They didn't know
was
how
ridiculous.
far west those
Land
continents
was.
went.
That's true.
So it could be an isthmus. I can't pronounce that
That's
word.
the best word.
Yeah.
It's a bad
Could
word.
be
It's
thin.
worse than reconnoiter.
They don't know how thick we were.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen old timey maps of
Yeah.
Yeah.
the East Coast, and they're like, "Oh, it's just like this little sliver of land." Ah, ha, ha.
They're
Little
almost
did
hopeful
you know.
because being able to trade with China and India would have been far more
Yeah.
profitable if they thought at first anyway,
well,
until they started.
figured it out.
Eventually they get there.
Yeah. So
Slave.
the mission also brought back two natives. I don't know if I'm going to say their names right. I'm probably not going to, but Ranchese, Wanchese, don't know. He was from the Secotan tribe, and then Manteo was a Croatoan. He was the son of the female chieftain of Croatoan Island, which was by
Whoa.
Hatteras Island.
And
Girl power.
what was their reason for agreeing
Great
to
question.
go back?
I don't know. Hey, let's go back and see. I mean, you guys seem friendly.
I
Little did they
know.
know.
Yikes.
Let's go back with you. We'll meet your guys. They can meet us. We'll talk. I think a lot of the native tribes realized very quickly that these Europeans had very powerful weapons and they could be powerful allies.
Okay.
For hundreds of years, Native tribes, remember the French and Indian War in the 1750s and 60s, the Native Americans allied themselves with the French.
Yeah.
So that happened for a very long time.
How were they communicating?
Hand signals,
Smoke signals, girl. Haven't you seen the legends?
Yeah, haven't you seen the movie?
American Sign Language. I don't know. Just like things like I feel like that was the vocabulary.
You know, people are smart.
Yeah, they did.
I
they
think
managed.
it was maybe a
Fish.
kidnapping. To be
No.
honest.
They did go on. They
What do you mean,
they-
Mom?
they brought them back later.
Early Native American
No, it was not a
tribes had
kidnapping.
diplomacy and
Yeah.
politics.
They were
too.
diplomats, effectively. Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, though, the voyage thought that there was a better option than Croatoan for their colony. I'm not completely clear. I think it's because the island Croatoan was one of the barrier islands. The barrier islands
Yeah.
along North Carolina face the Atlantic coast, and they sort of protect the North Carolina coast from all the bad things that the Atlantic Ocean can scare up.
They're a buffer.
Like hurricanes and things like that. They're a buffer group.
Yeah.
And Croatoan was one of those, and Hatteras. Roanoke Island is the pretty largest island that was in the shallows on the west side of the barrier islands.
The west
So
side.
protected from the worst of the Atlantic by the Barrier Islands. So that's probably why. But the water gets pretty shallow there. Even on the other side of the Barrier Islands, the water is
Yeah.
shallow. And that's very dangerous for boats.
Ships,
Yeah,
yeah.
for ships.
You can get scraped on the bottom.
Yeah, or you get stuck, which is even worse. So they thought, you know what? Let's do Roanoke. Perfect. This is going to work. That'll be the place where we bring back and have a permanent settlement. So Raleigh organizes an expedition as quickly as possible. He scrounges up some powerful backers and then sends out a group of ships in 1585. He picked a guy named Ralph Lane to be the governor of this new colony on Roanoke Island.
Oh my God, the great 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 grandfather of Diane Lane.
I think so, yes.
Probably.
On Ancestry. No, on that show that Carrie likes called.
Finding Your Roots
Well,
on PBS.
Yes, if they could trace back, if they knew Diane Lane, they would trace her back to this guy. I'm
They're
sure
always
of it.
from the Mayflower. Now it's Roanoke.
There you
And
go.
probably Nathan Lane as well.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
They're probably distant cousins.
At the very least.
Richard Grenville would be the fleet commander, so he was in charge of the ships. As long as they're in the water, Richard Grenville's in charge. Once they got to land, Ralph Lane would be governor of the colony. He'd be in charge on land. Got it?
Sure.
So, well, that's going to play a role here. The Queen was impressed with this little plan
Well,
of
all right.
Raleigh's. So she knighted Raleigh in 1585 after he came up with this plan, and she named him the Knight, Lord, and Governor of Virginia. The name Virginia she thought of apparently herself. Well, I'm the Virgin Queen. I'll name it after me, Virginia. No, Virginia. So weirdly, she thought that name on her own, not Raleigh. And so Raleigh was basically put in charge of what would now be the mid-Atlantic down to Florida. He was the guy. A couple of months later, after a pretty eventful sea voyage, Ralph Lane and the company got finally to Roanoke Island. And now you can't imagine, but this is wild forested land. It's a very daunting landscape. It's pure forest. As soon as you walk in from the beach, it's dense, foreboding, forested land.
I couldn't imagine.
It was late June, so they thought, look, let's just carve out a settlement somewhere, build a palisade, which is just basically a simple fort with a tree post around some homes, and let's just start building some houses, because the plan was for a second wave to come very quickly and bring more colonists and more supplies, right? That ship was supposed to launch, I think I read like June or July of 1585. So it's supposed to be not that far after them, a few months maybe. The expedition, well, they did have ironically, they had 4 expeditions at this time. But no, they didn't, because I just said it right this time. Never mind.
Oopsie.
The expedition, I want to start over. We're going to cut that out. The expedition brought about 600 people. So pretty big, all of whom would the idea was all 600 would start building a palisade, building homes, get their colony up and running, and then half of them, about 300, would remain behind and be the colony when the ships headed back to England.
Okay.
Scientist Thomas Harriot and the artist John White were among this initial Roanoke 1 group.
He was an artist?
He was an artist. He was sent to
Yeah.
draw
Oh,
plants
Used to
and trees
value
and
the
animals.
arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, no, they had also, they also included metallurgists to see if there's gold and copper or signs of it or
That's
traces
smart.
of it.
Yeah.
And they had skilled craftspeople too as well.
Well, sure.
And they also brought back Manteo and 1KC to return them home.
Well, I'm very pleased about that.
Okay, I'm glad
See,
you-
Mom?
They didn't infect them with some horrible Euro disease?
Oh no, but that'll come soon enough.
Oh, okay.
They probably did. They had syphilis. It was just boiling underneath.
No, they did not. Not yet. No. And Thomas Harriot was he was a science. He was the Spock of Roanoke, essentially.
Okay.
Okay.
Spock. That's funny.
Everything has to relate to Star Trek.
No, they don't.
obviously. It should.
No.
But there was a bit of a mishap, unfortunately. On the way over, again, there was a storm on the way over. A lot of the ships got separated. They luckily had said, well, if we get separated, we'll meet at, I can't remember where, some island or something like that. And most of the ships did meet there. A couple just didn't and never were no longer part of the fleet and didn't go over to Roanoke. So the problem, though, is what they lost. They lost a ship, a pinnace. A pinnace was a smallest ship, usually married. A Pinace, dirty, filthy bastards. What are you guys, 11?
Mom
Good
said 11.
Lord, Carrie's was
Way
laughing first.
harder.
That's
No, I
embarrassing.
laughed
No,
first. Mom
exactly.
just laughed harder.
Okay, all right.
That's what she said.
Penis.
The penis.
Jesus Christ.
The penis. I
This
see a
is
penis.
embarrassing. Okay, all right. This is
Are you
devolving.
going to tell us what a penis is?
I was, but you were
No.
chuckling, so you didn't hear it.
That is not. You pronounced it. You said penis. No, Mama.
That's what it is.
No, a penis.
Penis, Carrie. Penis. P-I-N-N-A-C-E.
I thought it was P-E-N.
No, it's
Whatever.
not.
That'd be a little too on the nose.
Jesus Christ. They're boats that usually carry provisions, and they usually sail with larger ships. They're not very big.
This is quite the
So
vocabulary
penis.
lesson.
Okay.
Truly though,
Okay.
a lot of word, a lot of
Yeah.
jargon.
Well, anyway, they lost one of those loaded with provisions meant to be left with
Ooh.
the colonists.
That's disastrous.
Not good.
A lot of beef
Yeah.
jerky in the water.
A lot of beef jerky. A lot of hardtack. Hardtack. Have you ever had hardtack?
I have
They
it.
still make it?
Yeah.
It's like supposed to be like rock hard biscuits, basically. Like,
Literally, yes. During
Super
8th
hard.
grade when we
Really?
learned about the
Oh,
Civil War.
Really?
What?
Oh, really?
We didn't eat it. She made it and was like,
They
"Fucking
didn't?
look at this, y'all."
I wonder why she didn't have you. I would have tried it.
Well, she only made like 2 little pieces. I didn't think
still.
she wanted to make it entire, like enough for like
She
probably
should've.
120 fucking
Yeah.
students that she had.
Yeah, she should have. That was wrong.
No,
That
how
was
dare
wrong.
you?
If you
Overworked,
don't bring enough for
underpaid.
everybody, don't bring any at all.
Overworked, underpaid.
Okay, whatever, man.
That's a recipe for burnout.
I appreciated it, Mrs. Pinkerton.
Okay. All right. just editorializing.
That was a pretty good pun,
the
though.
Willard. That's a recipe for burnout. So this meant, though, that they would not be able to leave 300 people behind. They would have that to 150 colonists be left behind on Roanoke when their ships sailed back to England.
Yeah.
The other mishap, though, involved those shallow waters we foreshadowed a moment ago. Yes, we did.
All about you.
The fleet lost another ship in those shallows. It ran aground.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so, at first, the English thought Roanoke was perfect because it was the largest island. It was protected by the barrier islands. And so not only it was protected, but it'd be hard, they thought, to see. Like Spanish ships were sailing by all the time. They thought, well, if we're inside the barrier islands on Roanoke, they won't see our colony maybe. So they
Yeah.
thought that's why they thought Roanoke was so perfect. But these misadventures in the shallow waters around Roanoke eventually led the expedition to determine that the area was not fit to be that privateering harbor that would need to be able to shelter fairly large ships. They realized
Yeah.
Roanoke would not be able to do that. So early on, the mission shifted toward using Roanoke as kind of a base to find a better place for a more permanent colony, which is kind of like Roanoke. It wasn't supposed to get lost, but it was intended to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have had people there for a couple year or two until they found a better place.
A transitional colony.
Yes. Not even, barely even call it a
temp.
colony. Really just a temporary base until they moved on to somewhere else. So, I don't know. I found that interesting. And if not for fate, it would have been. We'll find out about that later, though.
Fate.
Fate. The settlers now were in communication with the Croatoan Island natives, and who, by the way, the Croatoan tribe was on both the island and also on the near part of the mainland. And they thought, okay, Manteo is there. He's the son of the chieftain. They're friendly. We'll be able to trade with them for food, right? So, we have what provisions we have. There's only 150 of us. I think we're going to be fine. The bigger threat, they thought, was from Spain, because Spain was fully aware of what Raleigh and England were doing here. And if they found the colony, they would for sure capture them or even just kill them outright.
Yeah.
And destroy the base, for sure.
Yeah.
So the first thing they did was they built the fortifications we mentioned, which were, again, intended to protect them from the Spanish, not necessarily from the Native Americans who were there. And again, as you mentioned, the resupply ship was supposed to be maybe just a few months behind them. So they wouldn't have to kind of hold out all that long with this limited amount of provisions until they got help from England again. Okay, so you know what? We got this.
We'll see.
That was the attitude. Only they would have to wait a long time because, unknown to the colonists, the resupply ship was diverted to Newfoundland to warn the English ships there that the Spanish were patrolling the Atlantic, intending to retaliate against English ships because they were sick and tired of the privateering fleets preying on Spanish ships. So English intelligence heard, okay, Spain's going to go up the North American coast and start attacking our ships because they've had enough.
Sure.
So as this fleet that was meant to resupply Roanoke was about to leave, they said, no. You need to go up the seaboard there, especially up to where now it's like Newfoundland and Maine coast, and warn all of our fishing vessels that the Spanish are coming, go home.
The Spanish are coming.
Basically, yeah.
The
So-
early Paul Revere.
Ooh, and we
Yeah.
have a title for the movie, basically.
So they were not getting any help and are reprovisioned from, and you know, obviously they couldn't tell the people on Roanoke 1
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
which is kind of screwed.
They couldn't text them.
No, they
Yeah.
could not.
They
Hey
couldn't say,
guys,
"Hey, on
it's not
WhatsApp."
coming.
Yeah. couldn't keep
So
them.
this meant that trade with the Native Americans for more food became critical to the survival of this colony, Roanoke 1. Again, this is Roanoke 1. This is not the Lost Colony.
Right.
Again, no problem though. Manteo's got our back on this. They've always been friendly with us. Not a problem. We'll be able to trade with the Croatoans and hopefully other tribes too. There were several tribes in the area on the mainland. But then someone stole a silver cup.
Oh, of course.
Yes, from
What?
the colony. Somebody said, I had a silver cup. It's gone. He went to the colony leaders and they said, well, obviously, one of the natives that have been to our encampment must have stolen it because obviously
Oh my
no
God.
Englishman is going to steal something from a fellow countryman. That's crazy. It was the natives. Let's go get it back.
Uh-oh.
So immediately gets off to a good start here. Armed with this certainty of who must have stolen their silver cup, they sent some armed men to the nearest native village and said, you stole a cup. It's about this big. It's silver. Give it back right now.
Oh my God.
And the natives said, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have your cup. Go away. The English said, you know what? We need to set a tone here. We can't look weak. This is our initial contact with these new people. If we look weak because we didn't get our cup back from these people who obviously stole it from us, that could be bad later on down the road. So they said we have to, in order to set this tone, they decided to burn down the village in its entirety, destroy all of the crops, and send the entire village, women and children including, fleeing into the forest for their lives.
These are the people that they wanted to rely upon
Yes.
for food to keep them alive.
Indeed.
Yes.
It's what we call European hospitality.
That's what happens when you let white men make the decisions.
Yeah, they're just not very smart, are they?
No, they're not.
No, they're
not.
absolutely stupid.
You know what? Don't worry about the cup. Promise the guy when we get back to England, we'll get you another goddamn cup.
Literally.
Yeah.
You thought you're in the new land full of fucking metals and prosperous. Make a new cup, bitch. Go get some silver.
If it wasn't that cup, it would have been something else.
That's true.
There's no question, but this was the kind of spark that really, really
Yeah.
sent the relations with the natives into a tailspin. So back on Roanoke, the colonists had kind of completed their rough palisade there, which again basically was just fortified wooden wall around the homes. They built several homes inside of it and around it, and they'd done this all on the north side of the island, just a little bit inland, not very far. I'm not sure exactly, but not super far inland from the northern coast of the island. So they sent two of the ships out to do some pirating because that was another reason they had gone there. This is what you did.
Casual.
Those two ships actually did just take several Spanish ships and brought back some serious booty back to England. It paid for the colonists. Just that privateering paid for the whole expedition here in 1585.
So they can go steal stuff that's not
Yes,
theirs.
Carrie, yes.
Yet they,
yes. Now you get it.
One cup.
yeah.
One single
Hey,
silver
it
shot glass.
had sentimental value, I'm sure.
I don't like any of these people.
No, they deserve death.
Pretty much.
Probably.
I-
So,
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't all guilty of it, but
No.
you know.
Yeah, but them being colonists,
I feel like
Yeah.
John White as an artist would have been cooler about it, but maybe he didn't make
the decisions.
Remember, they're captains
Yeah.
and military. I don't know if military is the right word, but
Yeah.
naval's not the right word. Ship
You know
crew
what- yeah.
people type of thing.
Were there any women and children?
Not this one, no.
Okay.
This was all men. So
See
it
what I
was
mean?
a sausage fest. They were.
So no
Uh,
logic.
huh?
Yeah.
No logic. Just
No,
vibes.
all emotion.
Yep.
Yeah, very
True,
emotional.
true. Think
what
with a ball
happens.
sack,
Yeah.
as you should.
Men are very emotional.
I hate men. I don't know about that.
Are you kidding
yeah.
me? This
know.
is case in
Emotional.
point.
Think of the
Yeah.
messiest.
Not either, you bastards. I'm feeling attacked.
Think of the messiest bitch you know. It's a man.
It's a man.
It's a man.
So, two other ships went off scouting in the area for gold and silver. They went as far as Chesapeake Bay, even the James River of Virginia, which would later be the home of Jamestown, the first actually successful English colony. They were impressed with the bounty of the land, how the temperate climate, all those trees. They thought, okay, there's some wood here and things like that. But they're really looking for things like gold and silver. The only problem was there isn't any gold and silver in the Carolinas or in that part of the country. There just
So
isn't.
what, they expect to stumble across a big hunk of gold nugget or
Yes,
something?
Gary. Yes.
In the river.
They had the metallurgist there. He would see, I don't
You'd
know.
say, "Oh my God, I like this rock. It tastes really good. Let's look
I
for
think
gold."
there might be some silver here. They did find some traces of copper, but so that was something. But
They didn't make wires back then.
Yeah,
they didn't have
they
electricity, so it's not that valuable.
yep, it's
Abraham
true.
Copper
Lincoln
makes
wasn't
good
around.
pots.
So, and these ships, by the way,
Can make pennies.
that was basically them going home. They were essentially leaving. So they went up to Chesapeake, et cetera, and they searched around, and then those ships went back to England. And again, the other ships had gone back, already left for their pirating. So by September, the last English ship left Roanoke with as much provisions as they could leave, and they left them a pinnace, and that's it. So they had one small ship, and that's it. And they left to go do some more privateering. They left behind a total of 108 colonists. And winter was fast approaching.
Dun-dun-dun.
Was it that bad in the?
It was a brutal winter there. that
Really?
year. This was a very bad winter. And the winter of 1585-86 was one of
Wow.
the worst winters in the area for a
Yeah.
long time.
Pre-global warming.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I don't know if it does a lot of snowing on the coast. I bet it doesn't, but it can get windy and hurricane
Yeah,
and things.
that's
Hurricane?
true.
It can get pretty bad.
Stormy.
Yeah, very stormy.
That's not good.
The colony was able to augment its provisions by trading for corn, venison, fish, and oysters, but it still wasn't enough. They,
Balanced diet.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and
Corn,
plus,
venison, fish, and oysters.
and their hardtack,
Honestly,
whatever they
you
had
know?
from England, right? And you might recall,
Yeah,
though,
actually.
those ships that went scouting to Chesapeake and James River, right? They did accomplish one other thing besides learning about the land. They spread disease wherever they went.
Yeah.
Thomas Harriot was on one of those ships. So he was with them, and he began to notice that pestilence struck almost every native village that they visited soon after they visited.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder if these things are related. He wasn't sure. No one had
Yeah.
any idea about Germany or
Right,
things like
yeah.
that. But he did notice it, and it did get him kind of thinking that, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
The upshot of this, though, was that a lot of natives died. And the upshot of that was
Bitch.
that the decimated native population was unable to harvest a lot of the food. And so this meant that they had much less food in the area. The tribes in the area had much less food to trade to the colonists on Roanoke Island.
Yep.
And unsurprisingly, relations with the natives deteriorated rapidly.
Gee. I
So
wonder why.
at this point, the colonists go, okay, you know what? We're not getting along well with our neighbors. They don't have as much food to trade us because we killed a lot of them. Even if they would trade us food, we might want to leave. And so they
Yeah.
decided to relocate to the Chesapeake. So the ship, they knew about the Chesapeake Bay. They thought, let's try that out. Maybe we'll find a better place there. Chesapeake Bay, by the way, is north of North Carolina. It's now where the state in the U.S. state of Maryland is. The city of Baltimore is there, for instance.
Baltimore.
Sure.
Okay. Just a,
You know
it's
what? Why didn't they just bring a whole bunch of chickens
chickens.
with them?
Ooh.
Yep.
Eggs?
Click, click, moo, bitch.
There you go. You would have
Do you-
solved it had you been around in 1585, Kiara. You would have
Yeah.
helped out.
It's hard to care for chickens when you can't even feed yourself.
I don't
This
know.
close to coming home with a little baby chick. There's
Oh,
so
no.
many of
It's
those pet
best you
store I
didn't.
went to. They're
Oh.
so
Especially
cute.
if it turned out to be a rooster.
Lily would have
Little
eaten
baby
it.
chick.
However, though, so they sent a scouting party on foot. Remember, this is the ships are gone now, right? This is Ralph Lane deciding we should probably go to the Chesapeake. We need to leave here as soon as possible. I guess we'll leave a note for the ships when they come back, and let's go relocate up somewhere to the Chesapeake. So they sent an expedition of a few of their men on foot up toward that area looking for a good spot, right? So it seems, though, that the natives were forewarned that this was happening. I guess, word got ahead of them that, hey, there's some English people with guns heading this way. And so what they did is they gathered all their food in the villages and left. And they
Yeah.
melted back into the forest and waited them out.
Yeah.
So every time these people would come to some Native American village, they would find no one there and no one to give them any food or trade for food.
Or to
Yeah.
catch their diseases.
Or something like that, yeah.
Their
Yeah.
flu.
So they were forced to turn back, and they
Bitches.
were half starved when they got back to Roanoke. They barely made it back alive. Not,
Good
not a bad
bitch.
strategy.
Yeah.
Starved, bitch.
It's almost
it-
like they did it to themselves.
It got worse, though. When the natives around Roanoke decided that the English just couldn't be trusted, they essentially embargoed them effectively. They said
Yeah.
no one trade with them, no one give them any food, no one even showed them how to
Just-
fish and how to capture crabs and things like that. They had so many food sources. Remember, they've been there
Yeah.
for thousands of years. They
Yeah.
knew how to the land. It reminds me of reading The Lost City of Z and how the Amazon.
The fuck?
That's the.
What has this turned into?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because you think of the Amazon as this incredible, bountiful, this food you can just pluck fruit off the trees. It's absolutely not true. If you don't know what you're doing, you will starve.
You're gonna die.
in the Amazon. And if you're not killed by a jaguar first,
Yeah.
you're
I
going to
was gonna
starve.
say, yeah,
Eaten
or
by an
parasites.
There was one. I can't. He wrote about something how where. They're trying to fish for hours and hours and hours through European methods, and so the natives saw them and took pity, and they had some little chemical, and they had eels, they had electric eels, and they moved a bunch of fish into this little cove area, and then they put the eels in there, and
Yeah.
it stunned them, and they just literally scooped all the fish, and it's like we got plenty to eat because they had the technology in a sense to know how to live off that land. The European colonists did not know how to do that, so
They were dumb
when-
little babies.
yeah. When the natives said, we're not going to help you, we're not going to teach you, and we're not going to trade you any food whatsoever, they were very screwed.
Yeah.
By the time in the middle of winter, they were reduced to fending for themselves in small groups that would just go out foraging. It was kind of almost an every man for himself. And some small groups would go try to forage and find food. Some even went to native villages and begged for food, literally begged.
Yeah.
Just please, anything, a single fish. I'll take a fish head. I don't care.
Oh.
I'm making that up. Maybe though.
Probably
Are.
though. Shit.
They were barely able to stave off large-scale attack by any tribes because they were so well armed, and natives knew that. So the natives were shy about actually attacking them. They're essentially going to starve them out and wait for
Yeah.
them.
Not bad strategy.
That's not bad, and it
Honestly,
worked.
yeah.
It worked because basically the colony was broken.
Yeah.
Good.
So when springtime came, they said they were ready to go. They had been making a ship and they had their pinnace, but luckily for them, Sir Francis Drake's fleet did a kind of a check-in. Sir Francis Drake had been privateering
Not
in the
him.
Caribbean, and he came by, the guy who would later travel around up the California coast. He came by to check on them, and they said, "Can we go home with you? Get us the hell out of here." And he said, "You know what? I'll do you a solid." So he took him home.
Yep.
3.
I want to go home.
I'm gonna miss my mommy.
Please, I'm sure they had some casualties, so there's a little over 100 people that he was able to fit because he had multiple ships, so he was able to fit them all. And 3 colonists stayed behind. I'm not 100%
What?
sure why. I was
Wow.
like, no, I like it. I'm doing fine here. Besides, I had my eye on a pretty little
Yeah.
lady. Just
Maybe
up the,
it
I
wasn't
don't
their
know.
choice.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
they're into
you know what?
minimalism.
I don't know. I'm not completely sure.
Or they're gay.
Oh, maybe.
The gays
What?
stayed behind and they were like, we're going to have a gay colony. Then they just died.
Or colony.
colony.
Sure.
Colony.
Lesbos.
Yeah, gay
Could be.
colony
No,
or
because there was no women. So.
Vermont. I don't know.
This is nowhere near Vermont, but maybe they made their way to Vermont and started a B&B.
Exactly. That's
I
the
don't
joke.
They were never seen or heard from again. So if so, it's too bad. Drake also possibly, no one's sure, but possibly he left behind a bunch of slaves he had captured in his raiding in Spanish lands because he was going to essentially gift them to the Roanoke Colony. And when the Roanoke Colony said, no, we don't want to stay here, slaves or not, we want to go home, some people think he may have left them on the island and just abandoned them.
Wow.
We're not sure completely.
Damn. Well, hopefully they were probably, not assholes filled with disease.
Yeah.
The
Well-
enslaved people that they abandoned. So they probably came into contact with the native tribes
For
and said,
sure.
hello.
Yeah, they would. They almost certainly would have. If
We
this
have
happened, they
actual
would have.
skills that you can use.
They would have. They would have been natives, by the way, from whatever. Caribbean.
Oh, it would have been.
Yeah,
it wouldn't
would
have been.
not
Oh, that's
from
true.
Africa.
The
No, this is-
transatlantic slave trade hadn't started.
Yeah,
yet.
this is
Yeah.
1580s. So Drake returned with the remnants of the abandoned colony in 1586. He also had some new discoveries. He had brought back maize, potatoes, and tobacco,
Of course.
which would soon be all the rage in Europe.
Still is.
Then, in a bit of foreshadowing, a resupply ship with food and 400 would-be new colonists arrived days after Sir Francis Drake left with the colony.
Oopsies.
I guess they didn't tell him. Well, again, they didn't.
Well,
they couldn't
yeah,
text him.
they were already
Leave a
on their way,
note.
right? Yeah.
Telegram.
This is essentially the very, very late resupply ship was almost
Yeah.
a year late.
Damn.
So that fleet went to Croatoan, and they found out what happened. That, one of your guys came and brought them back to England. So that ship said, okay, we'll go back and to England with them. This resupply fleet left 15 men behind on Roanoke as kind of like a skeleton crew to maintain the claim of there being a colony there.
Oh.
So Walter
Oh.
Raleigh still had his claim.
Oh, I
So
see.
15 people were
Yikes.
left behind. Can you imagine drawing the short straw? I mean, they had the palisade there. They had homes. And presumably they left them with plenty of food. But it's just 15 people.
Right.
And you're
God, no.
surrounded by natives.
Yeah.
God, if
who
I were
don't
the
like
person
you.
who drew that short straw, I'd say, how about you shoot me? Because that seems preferable to this.
So days later, natives attacked this small contingent and killed one. And then they killed another one.
Oops.
And then the other 13 were able to literally race for a longboat and row out to the Atlantic Ocean.
No.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
that's a bad plan.
Yeah, well, you see that you die on the island. They were being attacked.
Yeah.
Or you row out into the ocean and do your best.
And die.
They
there,
were
too.
never seen or heard from again.
Yeah.
As you can imagine.
Think
So
we
much for
know
the
what
15
happened.
people there. So Raleigh, though, was undeterred. He was ready for round two. He was not done. The clock was ticking now. He needed to establish that colony somewhere along the eastern seaboard to retain his claim. So now that Roanoke seemed a little too hot for a settlement, and maybe not the perfect place anyway, he decided that, you know what? Let's get some folks together, and we'll send them to settle somewhere in the Chesapeake Bay. Remember, those ships had we saw some good sites there.
Yeah.
So I was able to get 115 volunteers. Again, how desperate do you have to be that volunteer?
Crazy religious person.
No, they were not.
They're
actually.
not really?
No,
Not the
at all.
Puritans
Not at all.
yet?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I assume all the early colonists were just crazy people
You
trying
know,
to get away.
You would get land claims. You could theoretically be
That's
rich.
true.
Yeah, and these are adventurous people.
They are very
who-
adventurous.
Yeah.
Yes. Although this is the Lost Colony. This included women and children.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they were going to start. But again, the intent was not to go back to Roanoke. The intent was to go somewhere in the
Right.
Chesapeake, find the right spot. It could have been where Jamestown is now. It's a good place to settle, and they would form a city that Sir Walter Raleigh was going to have them call
Raleigh.
Raleigh. Yes, it's not the Raleigh in North Carolina.
Well,
by the way.
yeah.
They were
I
never-
assume that was
Yeah, this city
related.
never happens. This group had no organized military, just sailors and ship people, and then it had families, including a very pregnant Eleanor Dare. She was the daughter of John White, who had been picked to be the colony's governor, from artist to governor. He had already been there, so they said, well, Ralph Lane, I guess he's out now. He's like, no, hard pass.
Yeah.
Don't want to go back. So John
Honestly.
White is going to be the governor. He brings along his daughter, who was, I don't know, but months pregnant. Most of these colonists were very young. They were in their 20s and 30s, and they were mainly kind of middle class or from the artisan class. But again, they're looking to go from middle class to potentially very wealthy. It's a very, they had to have some level of adventurousness. It is surprising, though, that they would have brought women and children and families when there was no truly
Yeah.
permanent settlement.
Yeah.
At best, they thought there's
Yeah.
15 guys there right now.
Yeah.
They didn't know what had happened to them.
They must have at least like a hut. We could take turns.
What's happening? What are you
The people,
saying?
the 15 people, they
Yeah.
have at least one hut.
Oh.
You
No,
know?
they had the 15 people left behind. No, they had their
Yeah.
pick of the houses on Roanoke. Remember? They had 100 and something people living
Oh,
there.
I thought you were talking about Chesapeake.
No. What is happening? What's
You said that they intended to go to Chesapeake.
Yes, they intended to go to
not
Chesapeake.
Roanoke.
Well, they'd pick up the 15 guys in the way.
Oh.
So they're going to go to Chesapeake and start a brand new colony. It's odd. No, you're right. It's odd
Yeah,
that
I know.
that they would bring women and children before there was a pretty thoroughly
Anything.
established
Yeah, that's
settlement.
risky.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Well,
Really
they're
risking it for the
Children
bear.
are not known for survival skills.
prepared to
Yeah.
rough it, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. The 3 ships carrying the crew and colonists departed on May 8th, 1587.
God.
So again, White wanted to run by Roanoke, pick up those 15 guys, and they would augment the colony a little bit. And they had been, so that was 15. So it was just a little bit more than a year that they'd been gone from when White had left them there. Or, I'm sorry, the resupply fleet had left them. So this little new fleet of the Roanoke 2 colonists anchored again off Croatoan Island. Because a little bit deeper water there. They then would take a smaller boat up to Roanoke from Croatoan. Got it? Which is roughly 50 miles to the north. So it's not like a,
Wow.
you would probably have taken a pinnace. And
Yeah.
Carrie would have chuckled.
Were there any natives on
Croatoan?
Croatoan?
Yes.
Did they
But
just dodge them?
They did.
Sneak?
Yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, White took, I believe, a pinnace, and he
Fuck
left
yeah, he
up
did.
to Roanoke to find the 15 men. As soon as he left, the flagship of the little fleet said, "Bye, see ya. We're going to Chesapeake without you." No one knows why completely. It's like, but that, again, the intent was to go to Chesapeake Bay and settle,
Yeah.
but they should have waited for White to
Yeah.
come back with the
Why
15 men.
would you?
I don't know. Maybe it was the weather. They thought the weather's going to go bad, so they took off and they headed toward the Chesapeake. Okay.
That seems really dumb. Let's leave our governor
Yes.
and probably a bunch of other able-bodied
Yeah.
people that we would need.
You know, and also I'm sure there was a disconnect between the
Yeah.
civilian governor and he was probably going to do some
Yeah.
privateering. That's all they cared about.
Yeah.
Was, God, I have to wait
Yeah.
here for you for a couple of days while you go get these guys. Screw that. I'm out. I'm going to do some
Yeah.
privateering. I'll meet you in Chesapeake.
Men.
You'll figure it out when you get here. I'm not here. So White, of course, found nothing and no one on Roanoke. Those 15 men were,
Right.
as we know,
In the ocean,
the
sleeping
sea
with
had
the fishes.
Yes, they were sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
There was the outline of the dismantled palisade. So apparently the natives
Oh.
must have taken down the wood post. The houses had become overgrown with melons.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fun.
Yeah, that is kind of fun.
It's whimsical.
It's whimsical, and they could eat those things.
Yeah.
More
I
than
would
they could-
love to live in a melon-covered home.
That would be cool. They also found the bones of one man that they assumed was one of the sailors, so they kind of figured something bad happened here.
Yeah.
They left it there as a fucking message.
Yeah.
Don't try it again, whiteys.
Yeah, probably. A second boat arrived on Roanoke on July 25th, in addition to White's first boat. And together, these people, they scoured the island as far as they could, not just looking for these 15 men. I think they figured out those guys were gone, but they're looking for some food and just, see what they can see about Roanoke. During this time, though, one of those persons, those Englishmen out scouring, he was out actually crab hunting on the Albemarle Sound, and he was killed
Uh-oh.
by natives. So Manteo, their old friend, the Croatoan chief's son, was still there. He was the guy who had been with Lane and had gone to England. And he took White and met with the Croatoans. And that's when they found out that, oh, no, your 15 guys were attacked by other tribes, not us, and they were chased off. They've been gone for a while now. Sorry. But they also said, trust these, other than us, these tribes don't like you.
Yeah.
It's not a good place for you to be right now.
Yeah.
You should probably go.
They got their reasons.
Yeah. So White sent out like offers of peace offerings, like sort of entreaties, and the natives of the area just ignored them completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So naturally, what do you do when that happens?
Try to kill him, attack him.
Absolutely. You definitely attack
Eat 'em.
these native
I mean,
tribes that you
I'm
believe
not
are.
advocating this.
'Cause it
I'm
sounded like
just
it.
assuming.
It did kind of sound like
It
you were a
did.
little gung-ho about it.
sounded like a
Fucking
choice.
kill them.
It sounded like a choice more than an answer, Carrie. It was a little scary there for a second. So
Did you think of the idea for the smallpox blankets?
was that you, Carrie?
No.
Probably one of
Are
your
you a time
your
traveler?
ancestors, Carrie. Those natives, however, had already fled the area. They knew that, okay, we killed one of those English guys. They're probably going to come out here with their muskets. Let's leave for a while. So when the English got to the village where they thought the native had lived who killed their Englishman out crab hunting, they did find some natives there, and so they immediately killed them. But those natives were actually friendly Croatoans looting that abandoned village of the other tribe.
Oops.
So not good.
My God, this is
It's
just
the
dumbest
one
people
tribe
possible.
that likes them. Well, they couldn't tell. Seriously.
You don't.
Racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't know.
They saw brown people and they
and
said,
they
"We
shot."
start shooting."
Yep.
Sounds like the police now.
Yeah.
Had to say it.
Manteo, their Croatoan friend, again smooths things over with his tribe now, but still, it was not looking good. Eleanor Dare, remember her? The
Yeah.
You did mention her.
John White's
mere
daughter.
minutes ago.
She now gives birth to a daughter on August 18th, 1587,
Wow.
and names her Virginia.
Virginia.
Virginia Dare was, quote, the first Christian born in Virginia.
Oh my God.
Who gives a shit?
I'm so
Which
sorry.
is
Virginia means nothing.
Which I wonder if that's true.
Probably not.
Well, I
first
guess
of all.
in Virginia, you remember Virginia was defined
yeah.
loosely as from Florida north to whatever, Maryland or so. So she
Wherever
was.
the hell.
Yeah.
Another woman, Marjorie Harvey, she also gave birth to a child just a few days later. We know nothing about her, nothing about her
funny.
child because it sucks to be second.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No one's ever heard of her.
Second is first loser.
Yeah, basically.
But again, the situation was quite tenuous. The colonists started to rebuild the fort and they started to rehab some of the homes. And they did their best to gather more food to augment the provisions they had brought with them. But they knew they're going to need help and very soon to survive. Because it's almost like living on the moon. There's no question of self-sufficiency. If you don't have help from some lunar base or whatever, you're going to die. So
It's a little different.
Yeah.
it's a little bit different, but it
It's
is
a little
To
less
them, 'cause they're
hostile, but I
useless.
know what you mean.
But England is not like another planet.
no, it's not. But
There's an atmosphere.
they're in some trouble. All they have is a little.
Yes.
Again, they're only left with a pinnace, a small boat, which it was not perfect for sailing back. It could. Don't get me wrong. It was seaworthy.
Yeah.
But
Take
they.
a shot every time he says penis, first of all.
Get blasted by the
You're
end
trying
of
to say that word at every
I swear
fucking
I'm not.
opportunity.
There
It
was
sure seems
all
like
of these
it.
fleets had pinnaces with
I've
them.
never heard that
Supercut
word
beans
before
and
in my
penis.
life, and you said that word more than I've ever heard it before.
Whatevs, brah. I'm not sure why they didn't just go to Chesapeake, but they decided, you know what? We're going to relocate 50 miles further inland up the Albemarle Sound. Again, the Albemarle Sound is a pretty decent body of water. Several small rivers flowing into it, and it goes way westward into the mainland of North Carolina. And so they thought, let's go up there real far, 50 miles, get away from these tribes that hate us, find some people who don't know us, and then we'll settle there. That was the idea. I'm not sure why they didn't have the ships now to go up to Chesapeake, so which wasn't good planning. So now we're going to move Roanoke 50 miles inland, somewhere up the Sound. Okay, that was the idea now.
Oh, okay.
But they would need help and more supplies to do that. Again, they didn't have enough food to feed themselves very long. They're now going into uncharted territory. Not great. So they said, look, here's what we're going to have to do. We need help. We need to resupply first before we can move Roanoke Colony to somewhere else. Let's have Governor White, you're the guy for the most standing here. You need to go back to England with their last big ship and beg for Raleigh to resupply, to send back help. Okay? So White said, okay, I'll do it. And he left behind his daughter, his granddaughter, his baby granddaughter.
Jeez.
And for England, on August 27th, 1587, he left behind about 115 colonists. And they figured, you know what? It's going to take a few months. He's got a couple months to get back there, a couple months to scrounge up supplies and get on the ship, and then another couple months, 6, 7, 8 months. Not too long. We just have to hold out for about that long, and we'll be fine. Certainly less than a year. I mean, 7, 8, 9 months tops, right?
Hopefully.
That was the idea. Things were tense, but they didn't feel like they were going to be attacked, again, because of they had a palisade, they had superior weapons. They didn't feel like that was imminent, even though they were outnumbered by natives tremendously. They were, again, also on good terms with the Croatoans. Again, once more, the colony felt, we got this. We can hang out for a few months. So, but as we know now in history, you probably know that White's timing could not have been worse. What happened when he got back to England on November 5th, 1587?
1587, the Black Plague.
No.
I know, I'm kidding.
The problem was things were just as tense in England as they were in Roanoke, but times a billion. Because Spain,
Yeah.
the Western world's closest thing to a superpower, had had enough of all that English privateering, and they were right now building an armada to go attack English shipping at least, possibly even invading England. Queen Elizabeth I then said, no one's going anywhere. No ship is leaving any port for anywhere because you got to stay here and protect the homeland.
Oh.
And that decision was made even before John White returned in November. So as soon as he got back, he was told, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
No ship's leaving. So
Oops.
it
It's
was
like COVID.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
So
Lockdown.
there's nothing he could do to rescue his colony. So he impatiently buys his time until finally in March of 1588, Richard Grenville, who remember was the first leader, he was the fleet commander of Lane's fleet back in Roanoke 1 in 1585. Richard Grenville is given a permission to travel to Roanoke and bring back some supplies, but really it was more of to raid and attack Spanish shipping on the way over. So the idea was he's going to go to the Caribbean, attack Spanish shipping, and then John White sort of begged, hey, can I come? And while you're there, can I take a ship or two and just run up to Roanoke and help my peeps? And Grenville said, yep,
Sure.
you can.
He's like, I got a soft spot for Roanoke. Yeah,
He
go
does.
on.
So he'd be on one of the resupply ships, and that was the idea. So they go down to the Caribbean, and they'd kind of veer north. Unfortunately, the winds were really bad to sail at all from England, right? So during this time, they're sort of waiting for the weather to be right to sail toward the Caribbean. During this time, Queen Elizabeth says, you know what? I've rethought that. You're not going anywhere. She
Oopsie.
forbade Richard Grenville to take that fleet and raid Spanish shipping in the Caribbean. Again, John White was stuck in England. He was crestfallen.
bitch.
He was devastated.
Yeah.
I mean,
He-
does she not know that there
She
is-
knows, but they're
I
talking
guess.
about protecting England.
Yeah.
She can give a
True.
shit about 115 people in North
Yeah.
Carolina. So White knew at any time they could be, who knows, attacked by natives. They might starve to death. They might
Yeah.
even have been driven away. Then he finally caught a break. Two of the boats that were going to sail with Grenville to the Caribbean were deemed as unworthy of having anything to do with a sea battle with
Oh.
Spain. They thought, these are such shitty ships. You, John White, you know what? Go ahead. Take them, load them up with whatever supplies you can get, go to Roanoke, knock
And
yourself out.
Jeez.
Let's hope you make it.
Right. It's like when your parents, we have like a 1990 like Dodge Intrepid in the garage. You want that one?
Better than AMC Pacer. The ships were the Brave and the Roe. So White received permission to take them, go to Roanoke, rescue the colonists. They set sail on April 22nd, 1588. He knew it would take 2+ months to get there. So the colony by that time, the colony would have been on its own for about 10 months. He hoped for the best. He was optimistic. But the problem is, as little more than a passenger on this ship, he had absolutely no control of what the captains of the Brave and the Roe did. Again, he wasn't the governor of anything on those ships. So the captains said, you know what? We've got guns. We're ships. Maybe the Queen doesn't think we're cool, but if we see a Spanish ship, we're going to attack it.
Oh my God.
And that's what they did. So they started, rather than going to Roanoke, they started just meandering southward and started attacking Spanish ships and getting booty. And they actually did and were successful. The Brave and the Roe, though, were in turn attacked by French pirates off the coast of Morocco.
Wow.
And they lost 25 men and all of the supplies meant for the Roanoke
Oh
colonists.
my God.
Because
They
they're
suck.
so again, the ships had no choice but to flee back to England
God.
for safety, and they never made it to Roanoke.
Nobody can just do anything. Nobody in this story is good at anything.
The English famously destroyed the attacking Spanish Armada with the help of a massive storm in August of 1588.
Yeah, the flotilla.
Yep, we all know that from our Western European history.
No, I only know that because of like you.
I'm sure you guys didn't learn about Spanish Armada and then in high
Girl,
school or
we
learned
went
about
to public
Spanish
school in the
Armada.
U.S.
I think I remember that from school, don't you?
I know that
Yeah,
it
vaguely.
had boats and they were from Spain, and
Yes.
that's the extent of my knowledge.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good enough though. And the English beat them and saved England. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Sadly, though, that did not save save Roanoke because Elizabeth said a couple of things. One, look, Spain is still a formidable foe. They can rebuild ships; those aren't the only ships they have. Two, you know what? I'm thinking about doing our own armada and going and attacking Spain. So again, no one's leaving anywhere. All ships stay in harbor. You're sticking close to home.
Damn.
So White, for now, was again grounded. All right, so that is the end of part 1 of the mysterious Roanoke Colony. We have left Governor John White devastated by his inability to return to Roanoke and save his colony. When we come back, we'll see how that comes out. And then some. All right?
Okie dokes.
Okay. Until then,
Do what you usually do.
right on.
Thanks for listening.
ya.
See ya.
Bye.